Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Talent Culture's T-Chat Radio. The World of Work is live now on the radio with Megan M. Biro and Kevin W. Grossman, because middle initials count.
Come down, turn the radio on. Take my hand, turn the radio on. Come on, my favorite song, babe. Let's dance, turn the radio on.
Good afternoon, everybody out there in Talent Culture T-Chat Show land. It's Megan M. Biro here live with you without Kevin W. Grossman today. I wish him well. I know he's at a conference, so I hope he's having fun. And, you know, honestly, everybody, I think this is a good warm-up because I think most of you know by now, maybe you've heard the rumor that next week is going to be Kevin and I's last T-Chat show together. And the following week I'll be here starting my own podcast and Twitter chat called Work Trends that I'm really excited about. And we're going to keep the tradition of future of work and what's trending in the workplace and outside of it, keeping that dream alive for everybody. So same time, same channel. And so just want to kind of get that on everybody's radar and give a shout out to all of you guys. What's happening out there? Thank you for being with us. I want to just say a quick hello to my sponsors, Smashfly, Career Builder, Workable, TalentWise, PeopleFluent, Smart Search, IBM Smarter Workforce, Visier, iCIMS, and Silk Road. And thank you to the community. Really appreciate it. We actually have kind of a fun LinkedIn group that I'm really enjoying interacting with you guys too, and of course here on the Twitters. So welcome. Last week, we talked about how tech pros can help assess and hire tech pros. And this week, we're going to be talking about how HR leaders achieve talent brand dominance, right? So employers are obviously constantly aware of the state of their company brand, right? We know this, but very few organizations actually realize the impact of their talent brand on both their reputation to job seekers and company morale amongst existing employees. I think it's so often, forgotten. So a talent brand is what talent thinks, feels, and shares about your company as a place to work. And this is both, people who are working and people who are not working. It's really kind of a global thing, right? So contrary to what employers believe, according to this week's special guest, less than 30% of the working population cares about their company's product brand. What they're concerned about is how employers approach caring for their people and addressing their needs. And most hiring authorities aren't coming to terms with this reality that their employees have options, right? So if you're listening today, and I definitely hope you are, and you want to participate in the Twitter chat either now, during the podcast, and certainly for the T-Chat Twitter chat portion of the show immediately following the podcast, do it up. Utilize T-Chat. We've only got a couple more weeks of using this hashtag, so enjoy it. Let's have some fun. And, let's introduce today's guest. She is Joan Gracie, at Joan, Graci on the Twitters. I hope she's already had a chance to say hello to everybody out there. She is the CEO and president of APA Solutions. She's got a fancy boutique employment and human capital consulting firm that serves growth-oriented companies by helping them identify, retain, and develop talent. Joan has an unwavering passion for helping organizations thrive by restructuring work environments and building optimized teams. She understands how to drive productivity and sales through positive professional relationships. Love that about you, Joan. What's happening?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, no, everything is great. Megan, we're in a very symbolic time of year, the new year. So we have a lot of people who want to improve their career pathway. We have a lot of companies that want to improve their internal customer or employees. So we have a lot of enthusiasm. Now it's getting it to stick for the long term.
Absolutely. And let me ask you this. Do you have the ability to tweet and talk at the same time?
Yes, I can
talent.
definitely be part. I know it is. I'll do my best to tweet and talk at the same time. I haven't mastered it completely, but I promise I will do my best.
You rock. I love that about you. Hey, you just showing up matters, right? And that's what I say to the community every week too. And all my friends out there on social media, sometimes it's just about showing up. So, welcome again. I want to hear, it's funny, we had this conversation in the green room before we went live on the podcast, and I was saying to Joan, Joan, how do I, where did we meet? Have we ever met in person? Have you seen me at a conference? And Joan's been kind of following me online for about a year, and so I got the quick 411 on Joan, but I want to hear just a little bit more about your background and how APA Solutions is helping employers identify, retain, and develop talent. So just tell us a little bit more about you, Joan, and what you're up to.
Thank you. No problem at all. Basically, this particular firm, APA, is a very old and well-established one within the Western New York community, which moves us more to the Buffalo side of New York State, not the New York City side of the state.
I know. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Buffalo?
Exactly. And that's everybody's like, we have that constant confusion when we actually leave our state, but. So they were very true to representing back in the 60s growth-oriented companies. So you can imagine what a growth-oriented company looked like in the 60s versus what it looks like today. And it was just
Joan, I wasn't even alive in the 60s.
Well, see, then you have no working memory of that at all.
I have
now,
no
I was
working
but
memory,
a youngster.
so that's all right.
Cool. So it's very, very different landscape. Safe to say, okay?
Yeah.
But as an individual who's been involved with the firm now for close to 3 decades, stayed very true to the heritage of my forefathers in regards to representing growth-oriented companies. However, now have started to enlist a more in-depth knowledge because the workforce in this new economy is so different. So we started as a very traditional boutique employment agency and now have taken that intellectual property of, frankly, being expert stealers, experts in identifying active and passive talent, and really parlaying that into more of the retention and development piece. With the talent shortage, with the amount of opportunities that are being afforded to talented individuals today, really guiding employers away from that old-fashioned mindset to more of the new way to capitalize on both the employee population and the job-seeking population. So we're in each part of the, candidate life cycle today, as well as, that internal candidate life cycle.
How large is APA Solutions from a headcount perspective?
From a headcount perspective, we have 14 individuals that reside at our property in Western New York. However, we have wonderful strategic alliances across the country. So we've been able to establish partnerships with people that believe in, the importance of this vision and mission and, work with us collaboratively so we can service a population that's, across the United States and in some cases across the world.
Oh, cool. And did I hear you right? How many years have you been with this organization?
Close to 3 decades. Yes, you did hear me right. Yes.
That's, that by itself, Joan, how many people do we know, whether you're in the talent or HR world or outside of it, who've actually been at a company that long? They're becoming few and far between.
I know. And I think it's because as the owner and president of this firm, I've been able to transition it, away from that headhunter, place your grandmother for a fee methodology into,
I used to be one of those. Don't knock us headhunters.
We still are very much in that identification space. We do a lot of work in recruiting, but it's strategic recruiting, not plug and play.
Right. So, let's kind of let's move back to the future, so to speak, all right? So what is Talent Brand? I blog about Talent Brand, right? I tweet about it. I even annoy my friends once in a while on Facebook with it. But what is talent brand in your opinion or in your experience?
No problem. I mean, basically, we can easily identify what a company brand is. I mean, obviously, it's the product that they sell, right? We manufacture this, or we distribute this, or whatever that particular product is that we represent to the country, the world, whatever the case may be. Your talent brand is the message, your unique selling proposition as an organization to a different audience, not your customer base in the traditional way that we view it, but your customer base in direct correlation to your internal customer, your employee, or a potential customer that is your active or passive job-seeking population. So it is very much a brand. It is a message. It is a mode of communication about what you say about your organization in direct correlation to how individuals work.
And why is this important to sustain and grow business today? Why does this matter to people?
Because, every part of this is going to be the difference between highly competitive and highly profitable companies and those that are not as competitive or profitable. I mean, we've been studying the data on this solidly over the course of the past 6 years. And what we find is companies who have a very clear-cut message about what it means to be a contributor within a company are more profitable. They have higher levels of engagement. They get more unsolicited resumes than companies that don't have a talent brand. They are an absolute connection for that elusive, passive job seeker. So there are so many fiscal benefits to having a talent brand. It's going to be the competitive edge that organizations have or do not have, and it exists right now. I mean, we're seeing it. We of course know about some of the leaders like Google and Facebook. Organizations that are large companies that have it all going on in the space. But again, small companies can do the exact same thing. Mid-sized companies can do the exact same thing. But the term employee is a 200-year-old word. And we're not feeling. Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah. I mean, seriously,
right?
It's outlived the word.
Not yuck to people and employees, but yuck to the fact that, we're still talking about, what the meaning of employee should be and brand. I just feel like, as you and I talked about in the green room, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, Joan. I've been talking about it on this show for almost 6 years, but if everybody out there is not finding some commonality of language and ways in which to actually make it work for their organizations and their employees, we're missing an opportunity here, right?
Yeah, and, again, the middle class is suffering because of it. I mean, the middle class is making less money than they did in 1989, and, that's something that I care dramatically about. So, how do we get them more strategic as a job seeker, and how do we get companies embracing people outside of this traditional prototype?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me
Hire
ask
for
you
talent.
this, and I'm just going to throw it out there to the audience, too, and we'll talk about this a little bit more on the Twitters. But how do you actually measure talent brand? And then from there, how do you replicate its success? Because my opinion in Angle is always we have to measure it, we have to share data in order to tell that story, right? In order to make brand a reality for employees and companies alike, right? So how do we measure that first?
Well, it's so interesting because we struggle with that for a long period of time, actually. And we collaborate very, very closely with Emory University in Atlanta because they're doing they're doing a lot of work in their psychology department, in their neuroscience department. They're actually housed in the same building. And, what motivates a person, how does that matter into the workforce? And based on, we have actually a data center right at our office where we interview the job-seeking population, we interview employees, we interview growth companies. Yeah, so, again, outcomes, Megan, I couldn't agree with you more. We are highly data-driven. And So what we did based on this data, because to your point, there was no place for us really to go, is I put together some data points that were in direct correlation to the employee, active and passive job seeker. And we formulated what we call internally and externally to the growth companies we represent a talent brand audit. And what we do is we take the data from our research and we look at a company through the lens of the job-seeking and employee population. And what we've been able to do is, we've really, would you answer an ad with this company? No, I wouldn't. Why wouldn't you? And we've really just studied all of that feedback and focus groups like any other traditional marketing firm would be when you're looking at audience. We've gone through, very similar exercises.
There you have it.
Yeah, I mean, they are checking out companies.
You said the word. You said marketing first.
Yeah.
That's what this is, right? And when I talk about recruiting and HR marrying marketing, I'm doing the same with my partnerships, right, in business because we're all becoming marketers, whether you know it or not. Whether you're a job seeker, an employee, or a business owner, or a CEO of we're all marketers right now. We all have the ability to drive our own messaging more so than ever before. So very interesting times when you look at it from that perspective or that lens as well, right?
Without a doubt, and in essence, what you're saying is exactly what we preach. I mean, the job seeker is again the brand, and we've talked so much about that. Yet very few, employees or job seeker really understand what that means. And you have to be the best representation of your brand. And where companies are silly is that they think that, well, you know what, I'm just, I don't buy into any of this talent brand. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to just because it's already out there. People are already talking about your organization in a good way or a bad way or some way. So you have to make a determination. Do you control the message or do you let somebody else can control it? And all you've got to do is go to Glassdoor and some of the other mechanisms and see how poorly companies are doing in spreading the message about their organization. And then those are the same companies that said, we're all the great people. Why isn't anybody answering our ads? There's a talent. They're thinking of all these excuses instead of looking in the mirror and saying, hey, wait a minute, above and beyond a motivational poster in the waiting room, who are we? And are we living that motivational poster? And most of the time the answer to that is no.
So you claim that less than 30% of the working population cares about their company's product brand. Do you think that correlates with low employee engagement numbers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we've gone in and actually done engagement studies within some of the companies that we serve. And, I'm just blown away about how this whole human capital piece has not made it to the accounting department. How very few companies, recognize, what disengagement costs them, what poor recruiting costs them, turnover. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me how, that's such a strong data that's been ignored. But we literally have brought in a forensic accountant that we collaborate with who can literally
Wait, hold on. A forensic accountant. Come on. What is that?
Yeah. It's basically an accountant.
Tell the world.
It's basically an accountant. He's a CPA. I mean, but what he's doing is he's basically looking at trends, and he breaks out into derivatives. Just like your cost of goods sold, like in this case, your cost of people lost. So if your team is operating at a 40% engagement, let's say, he takes the average salary, multiplies it by, your cost of engagement, and can figure out, this is how much money your company is losing weekly, monthly, annually on this disengaged workforce.
Now, is he with you full time, or do you partner with him?
He's a strategic partner of ours. He is actually a person who, reinvented himself, had been a CFO of a very prestigious company within the Western New York community, and wanted to go out on his own and had the courage to do so, leave a six-figure income to go and help small companies grow. And, we partnered from there. But yeah, I mean, he has those type of talents, and instead of going,
that's very cool.
Yeah. We're always looking at grabbing more customers, right? We need more business. How about engaging with your staff more? How about really understanding what they're thinking?
Everybody.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from people out in the Twitters right now. I know, hey, how about that? We're all so hung up on all of this data and everything, but at the end of the day, people matter most, right? It's human to human, and if we don't have people in our corporations working and that are happy, they're going to be out ranting on social media and Glassdoor, right? Which we see all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, how many employees do we see on Glassdoor actually saying it's really awesome to be working at this company?
Exactly.
Or I mean, most of the time I feel like it scales in the direction of negativity rather than, hey, this is the most incredible culture, and I'm going to become a brand ambassador for this brand. I mean, there's such a disconnect still. It's so frustrating.
It really is, and it's a great point. I mean, we'll interview a group of leaders, and they'll be like, "Oh, we've got it all going on, and the staff believes this, and the staff is doing that," and then we go and talk to the staff,
and they're off on Facebook ranting.
Yeah, right.
How bad is it to be working there, And then you pick up on the intel 2 days later, and we got HR, calling a meeting with everybody. So it's like, anyways, that's a whole nother topic, right, is the whole idea of brand ambassadors. And that's the next extension of Talent Brand, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, we help companies identify who would be great talent brand ambassadors at all levels, from, the shop floor. And, I think, again, when we hear the word disengagement, we think, it's those people that are working, on the shop floor, those people that are working, more mainstream America, if you will. But, again, nobody's talking about how many leaders are disengaged. And if you got a bunch of disengaged leaders, guess what? And now you're saying go lead.
You're done.
Done.
Working it. It's done. All right, so I'm going to get geeky with you because I love psychology, right? Once upon a time, I wanted to be a psychologist for my career move, and somehow I became a recruiting headhunter in high tech. Don't ask. But so let's talk, because there's this whole hubbub around neuroscience and people. So I want to talk to you a little bit because I know you're all geeky with the data and you got all this fancy stuff going on over there in Western New York, right?
Yeah, you said it like it was a good thing, right?
That's a very good thing. I'm just
awesome.
You.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what are these neuroscientific drivers that make people take, stay, or leave a job? What's your experience with that?
It's getting into the motivators. I mean, it's really understanding what motivates your staff. I mean, that's really the secret sauce. I mean, again, we have owners and leaders who have an assumption about the workforce. It could be, an assumption that they're completely aware of, or an unconscious assumption that they're not aware of. And they decide what's right for the people who work with them, who work for them, when that might not be remotely interesting to the workforce. I'm so sick of all this millennial bashing about how, they're just this horrible, the horrible, so spoiled, rotten generation. Yeah, they're so talented. Yeah, they're so talented.
The whole thing is ridiculous. We're all people.
Yeah.
We're all trying to just get along and make culture better, right? We're all trying to adopt technology. It's like, it's not just one generation. It's the we generation, as I say, right? It's important to be cognizant of emerging generations, including Gen Z, by the way.
Exactly.
How many people are really talking about Gen Z? So, I think getting at the heart of people, not putting people in generational buckets at this point, I think that's old news. I think it's buried 2 years ago, personally. How do we then go about, if we want to try to level the playing field for everybody to find a career path, right, where they're successful and happy and the brand is on fire and all those things that I love? How do you then go about identifying these people, then improving them, right, and then embedding that into your talent brand? Like, how do we go from A to B to C right now?
Okay, I want to make sure that I'm understanding your question. So from a company standpoint, I think the clarity behind what the vision and the mission of an organization is. I mean, what does a company truly stand for, right? I mean, again, it might be smattered on the wall, but we're finding inside companies very few people understand it. Or it's so general that you could walk into any company in America and it would say, ethics, beliefs, core values. It's like, okay, what does that mean?
Who cares? Hey, by the way, who cares? Because your brand and 100 other brands have that same copy and paste with bullet points on their website. It's like talk is cheap. People don't care anymore. We don't have the attention span to even deal with that, by the way. Sorry, but just saying.
Yeah, so I think that's it, is, really being true to who you are as an organization, understanding what makes you a strong company for consideration, and really spending some time in the space of your employee. I mean, again, we use the word survey, which, again, from a neuroscientific standpoint, could be interpreted by people positively or negatively. But what about having some good focus groups and getting together some people and saying, what's great about us? Getting some other opinions instead of this overwhelming assumption that what's best for your people.
Totally.
Because at the end of the day,
by the way, Joan, we don't even have to call it a focus group. We can call it something even more creative, right?
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what we call it as long as we're getting people together. I think when people hear focus group, it reminds me of my days when I used to be on a research team, collecting data on people and behaviors. I think people get a little scared of that, maybe. Doesn't matter. To your point, focus groups, meetings, outings. Hey, take a group vacation together to Miami. Whatever it takes to kind of get people communicating is really what's really important,
Yeah, and
totally
in the meantime,
with you on that.
In the meantime, look at the 200-year-old word called employees, and why do you have to call the people that you work with employees? I mean, look at Walt Disney and how he started that revolution of calling, cast of characters and the different names that he gave, because again, he recognized the importance of stature. I mean, why are we still using a descriptor from 200 years ago? Why? Because we have to? We really don't.
Good point. We don't, Joan. We can decide right now, right today, that we're actually not using that word for a while.
We can have a decree.
Maybe we should figure that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally. I'm game.
All right, cool. Well, listen, we've got about 3 minutes left, and then we're going to turn into pumpkins. So, I just want to say the grass isn't always greener, right? For a lot of people out there. So, what do you recommend to current employees to help improve their current situation if they're not engaged or they're not feeling happy? Any advice to our audience?
Yeah, without a doubt. And what I would say is that, when it comes to career evolvement, you need to look at what you've got in your personal professional toolbox, and regardless of what name it says on your paycheck, enhance your toolbox. If you're in a company or a culture that you feel isn't aligned to who you are as a person, are there skills that you need to be deriving from that experience that you can move on and contribute to the next employer? I mean, tuition assistance isn't being taken advantage of. People aren't gravitating towards enhancing their skills because they're still thinking that it's not for themselves and it's for the company that they work for. You need to move out of that mindset, get into self-empowerment, build it. They will come.
All right. So 1 minute left, no pressure, but tell us just a little bit about the Superior Workforce Recruiting Certification and Talent Brand Dominance Program in 60 seconds or less. Go.
What I talked about within the confines of our radio show, we've put it into a formalized class that you can take in person or via webinar.
Cool. Very nice.
Button it all up. It's awesome.
There it is. Well, listen. So excited you were with us today. Let's continue our conversation on Twitter. And I'm excited to collaborate with you into the future. Thanks for being here with us.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to catching up soon.
You're so welcome, Joan. Catch you soon.
Take care.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.